Hey, top of the morning to you. My name is Michael. I am your host. This is the FBTV Podcast, video podcast, if you're watching this on the Insider. That is available for TALTOA clients only. And you may be even watching it on YouTube now, because we're going to start making the video podcast available on YouTube. It will always be available to the insiders. YouTube, we're trying to get it posted, but it might be maybe a day later getting posted on YouTube, because we got to do a little bit more to process it to get it ready. But neither here nor there. How you doing this morning? FBTV Podcast, you can subscribe to, and we wish you would. Subscribe to our podcast using your favorite podcasting app. Give us a thumbs up, 5 stars. Helps us climb in the search results. Helps people to find the podcast. What we do here, we get together and we talk about things going on in the transportation industry. A lot of weird stuff going on here this week. We talk about stuff non-transportation. We have a good time, basically. But yeah, glad you joined us. Tell your friends. Share the podcast or video podcast, as the case may be. If you'd like to contact us, you can. You can use our website, freightbrokertv.com. We have forms there you can submit, fill out, send to us. If you matter of fact, if you got a question or a comment or something you want to ask, you can do that on YouTube, obviously, down below in the comments, questions area, or you can email me direct. Always open to having your emails. FBTV@freightbrokertv.com. Now, you may be saying, why are we putting these podcasts up on YouTube? Because, well, YouTube is strange. If we're posting on YouTube on a regular basis, we do have posts, but we have been posting pretty regular. But it's not, they're unlisted. They're not for public. You know, it's they're private, basically. Nothing crazy going on, just something for something else. But anyway, and what we found is that, well, YouTube just ignores us. They would just ignore us. So we're going to start posting these and see if maybe YouTube will help us out, promote the channel a little bit more. If you're listening to the podcast, you can find us at Freight Broker TV on YouTube. That's our channel, Freight Broker TV. And even if you're looking for us on your podcast, you'll find us in the same place, Freight Broker TV. FBTV is what we call ourselves, but if you try to search, you may find us on Google, but you're not going to find us, I don't think, in Google or on YouTube. Funny how that works. Well, you find us on Google, but not YouTube. I don't know. It's kind of crazy because Google owns YouTube. A lot of weird stuff going on. I noticed now that YouTube, and they have a right to do this, they're playing commercials on our videos, even though we're not monetized. It's okay for them to make money off our videos, but it's not all right for us. That somehow is weird, but that's YouTube and Google thought process, I imagine. But anyway, neither here nor there. All right, what are we talking about today? Topic of the day, I was going to talking about working as a freight broker outside of the U.S. And still might, but, well, there's a lot of people. We've had clients outside of the United States working as freight brokers, and that's fine. They have to be licensed inside the United States, of course, or they have to have a broker in which that will sponsor them or allow them to work under their license. But with technology today, you know, you can get a telephone, a VoIP phone, and you can be on the other side of the planet and set up a Atlanta, Georgia telephone number if you want to. I mean, you know, a lot of people do that. But anyway, we were going to talk about that because I had a email come in the other day asking specifically about that. I thought that'd be a good topic. But as it seems to always happen, something else reared its ugly head, and I thought, okay, that's what we need to talk about. We're going to be talking about telephones. If you are a freight broker, it's imperative that you have a good telephone system, bottom line. You got to have that. We're going to be talking about that. I got a Q&A today. Well, you know what we talked about last week, or we're going to anyway, but we ran out of time. Lumpers. We're going to be talking about lumpers today, too. What's in the news? Denver gas stations last weekend were running short of fuel, out of gas. 7 million rounds of ammo from trucks headed for Texas. Robbed, hijacked, whatever you want to call it. That's a weird story, and you'll understand when we start talking about it. Pistachios, that can get you in a lot of trouble. One driver been arrested for hijacking 42,000 pounds of pistachios. Going to be talking about spot rates today. Truck stop scam. Those are, well, you always got, if you're a driver and you're in a truck stop, you always got to be looking out for scams. I'll share some of mine with you. Not that I pulled, but I won't say I was a victim to it, but I knew what was going on. I was watching it. Getting ready for the Iowa 80 truck stop, Walcott Truckers Jamboree. That's going to be pretty cool. If you've never been to Iowa 80 truck stop, if you're a driver, or if you're ever in the area of the Iowa 80 truck stop, you've got to stop in. You've got to check it out. Going to be talking about the I-40 bridge, too, that's been shut down. Strange stuff going over there, stuff you might have missed. Going to be talking about movies and stuff like that today, too. Fuel prices, first up on the list. Fuel prices pretty much unchanged. Why? Well, I guess they got all the milk out of the cow they could. Don't count on it. Wouldn't be surprised if we see another jump here coming up in the next week. Definitely the week after, because we got the 4th of July weekend. Of course they're going to raise prices on fuel. Anyway, diesel at $3.28 a gallon average, gasoline $3.06. No change for gas or diesel, but hold on. It's going to happen. Speaking of gas, up in Denver last weekend, a lot of gas stations ran out of gas last weekend. They're saying a shortage of truck drivers and pipeline work delayed fuel supplies. Dozens of gasoline stations in Denver and southern Colorado ran dry last weekend as a shortage of truck drivers and pipeline work delayed the fuel. Now, here's the kicker. Many Colorado stations were being refilled by June 21st, day before yesterday. We're recording this on June 23rd. Large retailers were able to keep tanks full by paying more for wholesale gasoline, so they were paying more to be able to get gas. See what I'm saying? They're paying more for it so they can have it to sell to the consumer, and you know they're going to pass that higher cost on to the consumer. They say Colorado's gasoline supply was already tight before the shortages. Rocky Mountain stockpiles were at a seasonal 6-year low earlier this month. Energy Information Administration data show. Phillips 66 reversed a pipeline earlier this year to move more Texas-made fuel there. So, don't know. We'll have to keep an eye on that, see if that's going to be a common occurrence or not. But I just think it's kind of wild. Okay, we don't have enough truck drivers. We don't have enough truck drivers. And the pipeline, pipeline work. Okay, don't get me started on this. These companies, these tankers, outfits, generally that's going to be a regional, local operation. At least that's the way it is here in most places I've been to. And those companies usually have a stack of applications a mile high from drivers wanting to get off the road, be home every day. Anybody's done that, hey, I'm ready to get off the road. I'm ready to sleep in my own bed every day. Well, you're going to sleep in your own bed every day for an hour, maybe 2. Then you got to be back out on that truck. It was my experience when I did that. I worked harder when I got off OTR and came home to make less money. That was just weird. But anyway, neither here nor there. So I don't understand how they could have a shortage of truck drivers for people wanting to do this kind of work. Not that I would think they have application list a mile long. Pipeline work delayed. Well, they learned that from the pipeline that got shut down over the ransomware attack, or they could have anyway. Hey, we can shut the pipeline down, raise prices. This is getting a little silly. Maybe I'm a little bit on the conspiracy side of things right now, but I said this a few weeks ago when I saw it in the news. When Chick-fil-A is starting to say they've got a shortage on their Chick-fil-A dipping sauce, where do you draw the line? You know what I mean? It seems like everybody's getting on top of this. Back in the day when I was a kid, my dad had a Skelly service station. That was when there were actually service stations where, somebody came out, put the gas in your car for you, checked your oil, your battery levels. Back then we checked battery levels. Radiator, checked all that. Wiper fluid, checked all that stuff. And then the gas shortage hit, 72, something like that. And there were people coming into my dad's station that worked for oil companies. And my dad's name is Arnie. They said, Arnie, there is no shortage. There's tankers out in the Gulf. They can't get in to unload because there's no place to put it. Yet there was a gasoline shortage. Go figure. But, with the shortage on everything, I don't know. It seems to me, I was telling my wife last night, I was watching something, a news story. What was it? I don't remember now. Something about, I don't remember, some type of shortage somewhere. I saw in the news, and I wish I could remember. But the president of this company, they were saying, hey, here's why there's this problem. Here's why there's this shortage right now. And I thought, man, you need to get on the same page with everybody else in your industry, because everybody else in your industry is saying this is why there's a shortage. Maybe it was lumber. I think it was lumber, matter of fact. But anyway, neither here nor there. Here's something. It's kind of crazy. Kind of made me scratch my head. Kind of an Arsenio Hall moment. You remember Arsenio? One of those things that makes you go, A gunman thieves steal 7 million rounds of ammo from trucks headed to Texas. Authorities recover 5 million rounds. 2 trucks were hijacked in Mexico with ammunition manufactured in Mexico headed to the U.S. I have nothing against Mexico. I just tell you right now. I think, if you want to come to the country, do it legally. Don't just come here because you think you should be able to. Everybody in this country immigrated. At one point, their relatives did at some point. And they followed the rules from all the way from the, Mayflower days up until here the last 25, 30 years, I guess. They followed the rules. Most people do follow the rules, I believe. I think most people want to come to this country and do it correctly. But there are those that encourage people to come here just to come here, more for political reasons. Not going to get into that. But I'm for anybody coming to this country if they do it the right way, the way the system was set up to handle immigrants. I mean, let's think Ellis Island. What about all those people who came through Ellis? But anyway, neither here nor there. Don't get me off on my soapbox. My problem is, shouldn't something like ammunition not be imported? I mean, shouldn't that be made here in the United States? I'll be honest with you. I will trust ammunition more if I know it's made in the same country I'm in, rather than, made in China, in this case, Mexico. I mean, what better way to overthrow a government or country or whatever than sending ammunition that doesn't work? I don't know. I just saw that and I thought that's weird. That was weird. It says, Business Insider reports that the ammo heist was likely an inside job, as the gunman knew when the trucks would be passing and left the truck drivers and guards alive without either side firing on the other. A lot of questions to be answered there, right? All right, we're about halfway through today. Let's talk about something that I said we were going to talk about. Let's talk about telephones. I am, as you probably know, the lead consultant with TALTOA. If you don't know anything about TALTOA, haven't heard of TALTOA, check it out. If you're thinking about becoming a freight broker agent, we can help you achieve your goal. Matter of fact, we got programs available where you can get in-depth, hands-on training, be placed under a licensed broker so you can begin your broker operation in our mentorship program. That's where you're going to be placed under a licensed broker under our watchful eyes. So, we make sure you're doing everything correctly. When you first start up, you're going to be a little nervous. So we're here to help you through that period, making sure you're crossing the T's, dotting the I's. If you got questions, you can pick up the phone and call or email. We're here to make recommendations. But anyway, once you decide to exit the mentorship program and move on to either start your own freight brokerage or maybe perhaps contract to a broker direct as a freight broker agent, well, at the time you exit the mentorship program, even though you're not in the mentorship program anymore, you've moved on, you still have full consulting privileges. So you have problems, situations, need help with something, need recommendations, you pick up the phone and call or email just like you did when you were in the mentorship program. We have all kinds of packages like that. They start, I don't even want to say price because you may be listening to this 2 years from now and the prices may have changed. And, but they start under $700 today and they go up from there depending on what you're wanting to do. But I am answering it on the phone all the time with clients, with people inquiring, calling in, checking, hey, I got questions. And one thing, I think last week I talked about email, proper email etiquette. But telephones, and this is from brokers as well, or, people new starting up in the industry. Your telephone is the communication equipment. That is what you are using to sell loads to carriers, talk to your customers, make sales calls to customers. Your telephone. That is a tool that needs to be A1 spot on. So many times I get people, and the clients too, calling me. And no kidding, it sounds like they are on a Fisher-Price speakerphone. You know what I mean? Nothing against Fisher-Price, who make great toys, but you know what I'm talking about. It's just you can't hardly understand what they're saying. And I don't know if they don't realize it. I tell them about it. I make it known to them. But it seems like they never change anything. Next time they call, same problem. Or same issue anyway. Their phone sounds terrible. It could be the headset. It could be the speakerphone they're using. A lot of people think that speaker, if you're on a speakerphone, especially if you're in a noisy area, that speakerphone's going to pick up all that noise and nobody's going to be able to hear you. Understand that when you're doing business, conducting business, you need a telephone system that is going to make you sound loud and proud. It's not going to sound like you're on a $2 microphone or headset. You need a good noise-canceling headset. And believe me, if you're going to be a broker, you want a headset because you need your both hands free because you're going to be on the computer. You're going to be doing a lot of things. Think about it. If you're calling somebody, you're going to have one without a headset. You're going to have one hand holding the receiver, and the other hand doing the dialing. Now, how do you check your telephone? Well, put it this way: if you got people saying "huh" a lot, do what? What'd you say? Man, you sound terrible. You sound like you're in a barrel. Probably got a problem. But the easiest way to do this is to have somebody call you from your telephone so you can hear it, so you can actually hear what it sounds like, be it your headset, your speakerphone, your normal conditions. You're a business. Every day I'm telling clients, perception is reality. The way your customer perceives you to be is going to be their reality. If they perceive you to be unprofessional, just a hack, trying to, get by on as little as possible, that's going to be their reality. You're talking to you're in a multi-billion-dollar a year industry. It's transportation. It's a professional trade. And there's a lot of people doing it. You got to separate yourself from the pack. Now, in training, we go through that at TALTOA, how to build the relationship and things of that nature. But it also comes with building that perception that you are the ultimate professional. They can trust you. Get the idea? All right, enough on that. Let's talk about lumpers for a second. Lumper, if you're not familiar with that term, a lumper is one that a driver pays to unload their truck when the buyer of the load is too lazy to do so. I'm sorry, that's the driver in me sneaking out. Somebody works on the dock that will unload the truck. But you got to pay them, and fees can vary. I've seen as low as $75 or $100. I've seen as high as $250. It varies from load to load, customer to customer. Usually, the lumper services are available on the dock of the place where the truck is delivering. Now, if you are a broker, and if you're brokering a foodstuff type load, you can pretty much guarantee there's going to be a lumper involved somewhere. It can happen on other loads too, but you're going to find it a lot with food stuff. Grocery warehouses. I'm talking about everything from spices to bottles of mustard and ketchup to frozen potatoes to fresh produce. You're pretty much going to be dealing with a lumper. Your customer will tell you, or should tell you in advance, we're going to pay this much on the lumper. And more times than not, they're going to say something like, we're going to pay 100% of the lumper fee. Now, I've seen brokers get into trouble with this kind of phrasing. Hey, the customer said to pay 100%. And they go out here, they tell the trucking company, we'll pay 100% of the lumper fee. Next thing you know, they get a lumper receipt for $300 or $400. Well, the guy said they pay 100%. You send it to your customer. They're on the phone immediately. Hey, what do you mean $400? They only charge $150 over there. We'll pay 100% of $150. Well, they didn't tell you that before. So you got to verify this stuff. Usually when I was doing load confirmations to a trucking company that required a lumper, I would usually put on there, pay 100% of the lumper fee up to $100 without approval. So that way, if it was going to be more than $100, the driver had to call me and get approval. So that way, if they called, I could put them on hold and call my customer real quick. Hey, Jim, driver's on the phone. They're saying he's going to run $200. And the customer, well, yeah, that's about normal. I get their approval at the same time. Got to watch that. There was an article in Overdrive magazine talking about our lumpers on their way out. And really, you can find it on Overdrive magazine website. What is it, overdrive.com, something like that, maybe. But you can read it yourself. But our lumpers on their way out, doubtful, And the article really didn't convince me of too much about that either. So anyway, neither here nor there. All right, let's talk about spot rates. If you are new to the industry, the spot rate is an average rate per mile that a broker is paying a truck to move a load from point A to point B for a specific type of equipment. Generally, you will find a spot rate tool on any of the reputable load boards. Usually, spot rate tools are going to be included with your subscription, but I do know one that tries to charge you for it. And they're pretty popular, but I don't know. They've done some weird stuff the last few years. Not going to name any names, but you probably know who I'm talking about if you're a broker. But anyway, Dry-van rates, flatbed and reefer rates look to all be, dry-van, April 259 a mile average. This is all points combined for dry-van on average. In May, it went up 267, and in June this month, it's gone up to 268 a mile. That's average. Now, if you're working with spot rates, understand that as a broker, it's what a broker's paying a truck. It's not what the shipper's paying that broker. So if you're going to be working with spot rates, and I always recommend, if you're a broker, always use the spot rate tool. Spot rate tool will fluctuate with the market. It will reflect what the market is doing. Now, if you're using a contract rate tool, which is basically the same thing as a spot rate tool, except instead of what a broker is paying a truck, it's pulling data from what a shipper is paying the truck. Well, you may be thinking, well, yeah, that's what I want to use. It's what a shipper's paying. Well, not necessarily. It's a contract tool. Usually a contract between a trucking company and their customer is a 12-month period, 12-month contract. So the rates are not going to fluctuate. The only thing that's going to fluctuate will be the fuel surcharge. Okay, matter of fact, we're going to talk about that here in the next couple of weeks too. So that's why I always recommend to brokers use the spot rate tool. And what's funny, the spot rate tool is normally free, except for one company I know of that want to charge you for it. But on any reputable load board, it's going to be included with your subscription. But it will fluctuate with the market. That's the bottom line. It's going to fluctuate. Flatbed rates, April 294, May 311, June 314. It keeps on going up. Refrigerated loads. Well, in April it was 293, May 310, and this month it's dropped a penny to 309. So maybe some of that produce stuff is starting to fade out. But I read the other day that produce still shipping pretty strong. As far as that goes, I've seen some rates get up there pretty high. Just depends on where you're picking up the load or where you're looking for the different produce and things, what locations you're looking at. Destination can affect the rate too. Give you an example. Loads going down to South Florida, there's always going to be more trucks in South Florida than loads. Shippers down there know it. So they're not going to be paying a whole lot to get a load moved. They don't have to. And they're not scared to tell trucking companies, hey, you take it for what we're paying, or you can drive 500 miles back to Georgia empty. Don't matter to me. So trucking companies know this, so they're going to have to charge more to take a load down to Florida because, well, bottom line is simply when they get down to Florida again, empty, if they're able to get anything at all, it's not going to be paying that much. So they got to make it up going in. All right. Truck driver arrested for hijacking 42,000 pounds of pistachios. Yeah, you guessed it. They were trying to repackage them. They got busted. These stolen pistachios were valued at more than $100,000. Now, the guy's name that was doing it, the driver was Alberto, and if I screw up the last name, I apologize, Montemayor, something like that, of Montemayor Trucking. So I'm guessing this guy was a owner-operator. Going through here looking real quick. Well, maybe they had a contract with the Touchstone Pistachio Company. Anyway, the pistachio company, they reached out to the Tulare County Sheriff's Office Agriculture Crimes Unit after a routine audit uncovered the fact that 42,000 pounds of pistachios were missing. Where do you hide 42,000 pounds of pistachios? 48 or 53-foot dry-van trailer would be a good place, huh? Officers discovered that the pistachios were being moved from 2,000-pound sacks into smaller bags for resale. Anyway, if you know anything about all this stuff, Tulare County Sheriff's Office asks that you call them. 559-733-6218. All right. Well, I-40 bridge shut down. If you've been coming out of Tennessee into Arkansas, you're familiar with that. The big crack. Well, the U.S. DOT and FHWA has decided to get involved a month later. They decided to join the party. Usually whenever the DOT and the FHWA get involved, it's because they're coming in under the guise of, hey, we're here to investigate, but they're really here to figure out how many tickets they can write, how many fines they can levy. But anyway, we'll see. U.S. DOT and the Federal Highway Administration are each launching their own investigations of the I-40 bridge between Arkansas and Tennessee after the crack went unnoticed for at least 2 years. I'm interested in that too, and Arkansas is doing an investigation. But when you get the U.S. Initials, whenever you get initials involved, it's going to cost somebody money. Many years ago, I was pulling tankers, chicken fat, and I was on Highway 7, a lot of switchbacks. Then we had a 7, 8, 9% downhill grade with the hard right at the bottom curve, and the brakes failed. And I learned real quick that tankers don't just turn over on their side. No, tankers roll. Anyway, long story short, truck and trailer are demolished. I got out of it, just a bruise or two, but by the grace of God, I should say. But there's a funny story. Maybe someday I'll tell you about it. But some of that chicken fat had leaked out and went across the road, and there happened to be a pond or a stream down there at the bottom of whatever it was. Chicken fat was running into it. I'm not kidding you. You had every initial you could think out there trying to figure out ways to write tickets or, levy fines or whatever. But the thing is, chicken fat is biodegradable. Nothing they could do. I got a ticket. What I get a ticket for is $150. And I thought, man, isn't it enough? I demolished a trailer and a truck and had to go to the hospital and all that. Isn't it enough that I rode that ride and you're going to charge me for it now? No, well, anyway. So it'll be interesting to see what the U.S. DOT and FHWA does. I expect an article to come out here in 6 months to a year saying that Arkansas was fined X amount of money. Truck stop scams, those go on pretty much everywhere. Police are warning truckers that if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. That's following a robbery in an Indiana truck stop parking lot last Thursday. The robbery was reported about 1 p.m. at Love's in St. Paul, Indiana. That, according to the Decatur County Sheriff, 5 white males in a black Chrysler van were conducting a scam in the truck stop lot. Police say that suspects claim to have won the lottery and invited drivers to double or triple their money by picking a card. Pick a card, any card. When the victim produced a sum of cash, the suspects forcibly took the money and fled the scene in the black van. An age-old scam that unfortunately our citizens occasionally still fall for. So if it's too good to be true, probably is. Stay safe. That's according to Sheriff David Duran. If you have any information about these 5 white males in a black Chrysler van pulling this scam up in Indiana, you're invited to call 812-663-8125. Coming up next month, July 8th through 10th in Iowa, it's the Walcott Truckers Jamboree, Iowa 80 truck stop. The Iowa 80 truck stop, it's a blowout celebration. Last year they weren't able to have it. It was celebrated online. I never got that. They had a lot of stuff, hey, we can't do it live, but we'll do it online. That all right, whatever. I'm sure the people that paid a lot of money to sponsor those events really appreciated it, that they did it online. But anyway, neither here nor there. But a couple of years ago, there were 45,000 in-person attendees. That's according to a rep from the Iowa 80 truck stop. If you've never been to the Iowa 80, it is the truck stop's truck stop. I mean, it's got everything. Everything. I've been up there quite a few times when I was driving. And it was a neat place to visit. It was almost, I don't want to say carnival atmosphere, but it was pretty neat. You gotta visit. All right, what else? Anything else we're going to be talking about here before we run off? Stuff you might have missed? It's not your imagination drivers getting worse during the pandemic, or got worse, I should say. Now, these are four-wheelers I'm talking about. I'm sure truck drivers are in here, too. I see truck drivers do some squirrely things at times, and makes me go, But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But anyway, not your imagination. Drivers did get worse during the pandemic. In fact, the number of accidents in the U.S. last year was the highest it's been in a decade. This is kind of funny. I don't know. It doesn't matter how you feel about Amazon or Jeff Bezos or however you pronounce his name, but more than 56,000 people have signed a petition to stop Jeff Bezos from returning to Earth after his trip to space next month. Yeah, you can leave, but no re-entry for you. Let's see. 54-year-old homeless man was arrested last Thursday in California after he allegedly assaulted California Governor Gavin Newsom with a water bottle. Here's something interesting. Now, I could not find the source for this. I cannot find more information about this. I just thought it was interesting. There's a new study out that claims eating 2 mushrooms a day can reduce your risk of getting cancer by 45%, almost cut it in half. But it does not identify which 2 mushrooms. I would like to know that. In Houston, well, it happened last night, I guess. I'm not sure if it passed, but they were trying to raise the water rates by 78% in Houston. That's crazy. Now, I don't usually talk about this, and we're really out of time, but I'm going to because I was looking at it, and I thought, I don't know any of these. Every week, I put out the list of top 10s, and one of the top 10s is the movies, top 10 movies, top box office movies. And there was a time in my life I knew every single one of them. I only know of one. Okay, here they are. 10, Wrath of Man. At number 9, The House Next Door, Meet the Blacks. At number 7, Spirit Untamed. Number 6, In the Heights. Number 5, Cruella. Number 4, The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. Here's the one I know. I don't know it. I just know the first one. And the reason I know the first one is because I have a granddaughter that watched it a lot. Peter Rabbit 2, The Runaway. I'm guessing it's the same Peter Rabbit. At number 2, A Quiet Place Part 2. It was so quiet I missed Part 1. And at number 1, The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. Got to think about that. I'll read it again. The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. So the hitman has a bodyguard for his wife. It's sad. Out of 10 movies, I only know of one, and I really don't know anything about it. But, hey, movies are not made for me. They're made for 25-year-olds or whoever. All right. That's enough. Enough of this craziness for this Wednesday. We'll be back next week. Should be anyway, unless something terribly goes wrong. But, yeah, we're going to start posting these... the video podcast on YouTube. Otherwise, you can still subscribe to our podcast using your favorite podcast app. But anyway, until next time, hey, have a good week, unless, of course, you've made other plans. See you later.